I'd like to go ahead and take this opportunity to bring the meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Cone Joint Unified School District Board of Education, September 7th, 2023. I'd like to make note that at this particular time, our president, Joanne Thorin Ojeda, is not present. And I will be presiding in her place. I'm Frank Ibarra, and I'm currently the vice president of the board. So I'd like to take this time to welcome everyone who's here. I see our Bloomington High School young students are here, nice and with nice smiles. We do recognize one of our board of supervisors, Mr. Joe Baca. So welcome for being here. And a long time supporter of Cone Joint Unified School District, supporter of students, Mr. Acosta. So I want to thank you for being here. And it's always wonderful to see you. You take me back to all the honor students awards and assemblies that you presided over and you led. So thank you for being here. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and ask our administrative assistant to the board, Joanne Medina, to please take roll call.
Mrs. Haro? Mr. Flores? Mr. Fuentes? Mrs. Flores?
Present.
Mr. Ibarra?
Present.
Thank you.
And thank you, Joanne. With that, I also want to take note as of this time at 5:33, Bernice Sandoval is not present. So with that being noted, I'd like to please ask our esteemed board member, Bertha Flores, to please lead us in the flag salute. And if everyone could please rise.
Right hand over the heart. Ready, begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Bertha. For those who might need an interpreter, we do have an interpreter available here, Miss Cynthia Bueno, and if you could please come up to the podium.
Thank you, board member Ibarra. Muy buenas noches a todos. Yo soy Cintia Bueno, soy recepcionista y traductora del distrito. Esta noche estaremos ofreciendo servicios de intérprete. Si alguien desea escuchar la reunión completamente en español, pueden encontrarme en la mesa trasera y tenemos los dispositivos que pueden utilizar y escucharla simultáneamente. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, Ms. Bueno. At this time, we will move promptly right into item 1.3, the adoption of the September 7th, 2023 agenda. And I'll be asking for a motion to adopt the agenda with the following amendments. Okay. The addition of 2 classified coaches, head varsity volleyball co-ed, soccer assistant coach, boys, addition of 3 volunteer coaches, band co-ed, baseball co-ed, and softball girls. With that, I'd like to note that at 5:35, Ms. Sandoval joined us. You're welcome. So at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion for approval, please.
I'll second that.
Okay, so I have a motion by Board Member Haro, second by Board Member Fuentes to approve the adoption of the agenda for today. Any questions, comments, concerns before we take the vote? Not hearing any. All those in favor indicate by stating aye. Aye. Anyone oppose? Anyone abstain? At this time, with motion by Pat Haro and second by Israel Fuentes, and on a 6-0 vote, the agenda passes. So let's move on right into our item 2.1, which is our Grand Terrace High School showcase. I'd like to invite our principal to the podium.
Good evening, board, Dr. Miranda, executive cabinet, friends and family. It is my proud opportunity to introduce our ASB presenters, Alexa Rodriguez and Cielo Gonzalez Cabos, to present our student showcase.
Good evening, Acting President Frank Ibarra, board members, Superintendent Dr. Miranda, and members of the audience. I'm Alexa, and I'm a senior at Grand Terrace High School.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cielo. I'm also a senior at Grand Terrace High School, and we are here tonight to proudly present our Grand Terrace High School showcase in the form of a highlight video, followed by a slide of upcoming events. Enjoy. This school year has been off to a great start.
It's been really busy here in Town.
Here are some of our highlights since our last presentation back in March.
We will begin with academics. On the day of our last showcase, we held a special ceremony to recognize CTH senior and valedictorian Samantha Heredia for earning a full academic scholarship to Stanford University. Congratulations to GTHS student Fernanda Barrera Espinoza, who is one of 3 students in San Bernardino County to win the multilingual essay contest, which we presented at the 36th Annual Multilingual Recognition Dinner on April 28th. On May 9th, we hosted our first annual college and career commitment ceremony. We recognized over 95 seniors who volunteered to be a part of our inaugural celebration. Each participant signed a banner committing to either a community college, university, military branch, or trade school. We are proud of our graduates and wish them the best of luck as they pursue their passions via post-secondary education. Congratulations to Isabel Tellez for signing and committing to play softball for San Francisco State University and Serena Zuniga for signing and committing to play softball at Bella Mira University in Kentucky. Great job, Titans! On April 6th, our teachers on assignment rewarded students in our ED program who had passing grades in all of their classes and their report card from third quarter with a free ice cream treat for their great work. On May 16th, we recognized over 200 seniors for their academic accomplishments. Seniors received medals, certificates, scholarships, letters, pins, bars, and plaques. Seniors who were pathway completers received stoles. Our valedictorian and salutatorian were also announced on this night.
Our Pathway students created a gallery of student artwork in the A building, showcasing the artistic talents of our students. Our Care Pathway students hosted a blood drive on April 27th. As always, it was a huge success with a lot of hands-on learning taking place. On April 27th, our Engineering Pathway hosted its annual Senior Showcase in our cafeteria. Seniors presented their innovative capstone projects to community members and family. It was an informative evening with forward-thinking ideas and creativity. On May 5th, our AVID program hosted its annual AVID Stole ceremony. AVID seniors talked about their future plans, thanked their families, and thanked a mentor teacher, who then presented them with their well-deserved stole. On May 10th, our choir program hosted its spring choir concert in our auditorium. Students showcased their talents, and seniors were recognized with a special tribute. On April 28th and 29th, our theater department hosted its spring play. This year's production was Disney's High School Musical, which included 2 of our Titan staff members. On April 22nd, our color guard team ended their season by placing first place at the WGASC Nationals competition. Our Link Crew program, under the direction of Mrs. Gray, hosted a freshman orientation on August 4th. Over 400 ninth grade students met with their Link Crew leaders for icebreakers, team building activities, family groups, campus tours, and more. Each freshman also received a free Titan Pride t-shirt. On August 17th, Link Crew hosted a luau-themed freshman football tailgate in our amphitheater. Participating freshmen played games with their Link Crew leaders, did face painting, were treated to a free meal, and given free entrance to our first home football game of the season.
On Thursday,
August 17th, we hosted our first home football game of the 2023 season against Elsinore High School. The theme was Luau. Our very own Legacy Regiment Marching Band and Color Guard opened with pep tunes while cheer performed alongside them on the track. The Thunder Zone student section was packed and many fun memories were created. On August 25th, we played Colton High School in our crosstown rival game. Our student section was pumped, our cheer team kept the energy going strong, and our football team played well. Although the Yellow Jackets fought hard, we ultimately took home the win.
On Cinco de Mayo, the music group Terrenillo Nuevo Legado, consisting of Colton HS and GTHS alumni, performed during both lunches to an energetic crowd. 10 staff members joined in too. ASB provided decor and free agua frescas. It was a great day in Town. On Thursday, May 18th, we hosted our first ever Asian American Pacific Islander fashion show. Students with nationalities ranging from Asian/Pacific Islander, Vietnamese to Middle Eastern, and from Hawaii to Guam were encouraged to participate and showcase traditional clothing representing their culture. It was a beautiful celebration of students and cultures.
On April 7th, ASB hosted massive Easter egg hunts during both lunches. ASB filled hundreds of plastic eggs with treats and placed them all around the center of campus and amphitheater. ASB also hosted a lunch on the lawn with umbrellas and games. On April 15, we hosted our annual Senior Inspiration Dinner in our cafeteria. The event included a catered dinner, inspirational speaker, baby and senior photos, candle lighting ceremony, parent tribute, and raffles. On April 21st, we held a Super Mario Bros. Themed spring sports rally. We recognized our in-season sports, played rally games such as Mario Kart Racing, watched student performances, and celebrated our seniors with our traditional senior post-secondary education parade. On April 22nd, we held our prom at the Disneyland Hotel in Anaheim. Prom attendees enjoyed photos with Mickey and Minnie, delicious Disney desserts, dancing, caricature artists, casino games, photo booths, and more. On May 12th, our graduating seniors attended grad night at Disney's California Adventure. Seniors enjoyed park hopping between both amusement parks during the day and then celebrating with their peers in a California Adventure at night. On May 19th, we held our annual Black Light Sadie's Best Dance in our quad. Students painted themselves with glow-in-the-dark paints, were given glow sticks, fed tacos and Dole Whip, and enjoyed a fun-filled night of dancing. On May 25th, the Parent Senior Legacy Committee, in conjunction with the City of Grand Terrace, held its annual senior parade. The parade concluded at our campus where Senior Sunset was taking place. Seniors enjoyed burgers and hot dogs, took photos, and read letters that they had written to themselves their freshman year. On May 31st, we held graduation in our football stadium.
Well, we're experiencing technical difficulties, so I know that we've experienced that before. And as Mrs. Harrell said, we can't live with it, or we can't live without it. So, well, hopefully we'll be able to get you guys back online here. If you're prepared to continue without it, we can do that as well. Yes.
Okay, so starting from our senior sunrise, we had a great turnout at our senior sunrise on August 18th. Seniors were treated to Krispy Kreme donuts, snacks, and refreshments. They also had many opportunities, like photo opportunities, signed handprints, and wrote their goals and ambitions for their senior year on balloons before partaking in our traditional balloon release. Just go back and forth. Yeah, is it this one? Okay. Okay, sorry. And then we also, after that, we had our fall sports rally on August 25th. We held a Rumble in the Jungle themed fall sports rally. The rally opened with band, color guard, and cheer. We recognized athletes, played action-packed rally games like Hungry Hungry Hippo, watched student performances, and left with many fun-filled memories. We also, on August 31st, we held our club rush, and also on September 1st, we held it in our amphitheater. This year's theme was a Dr. Seuss theme titled "Oh, the Things You Can Do." Students met with various club representatives and advisors, and they also ate delicious fresh popcorn and cotton candy, danced in the amphitheater, and either recruited for or signed up for clubs.
On May 3rd, GTH students attended the district's Tomorrow's Leaders event hosted at Bloomington High School. There are many great prizes given out during the event. The grand prize was a Chevy Spark, which was won by GTH student Brandon Rodriguez Silva. On September 6th, we held our back to school night event on campus. It began with performances with a welcome in our amphitheater and transitioned into classroom visits with teachers. On May 24th, some of our graduating seniors dressed up in their cap and gowns and visited their elementary schools and former teachers. Seniors reminisced about their childhood years, reconnected with former teachers and staff, played at recess, and some of them got to see their younger siblings and cousins. We look forward to this event every year.
On May 11th, we held our staff appreciation Not Your Average Teacher, which was in honor of our Staff Appreciation Week. We held a Not Your Average Staff Nacho Bar. Teachers and staff not only enjoyed delicious food, drinks, and desserts, but also each other's company. On July 31st, we had a staff welcome back, and we kicked off the school new year by welcoming back our staff with a camping theme in our cafeteria. Teachers dressed the part, participated in mixers, enjoyed a Panera catered breakfast, and enjoyed each other's company while taking department photos around the room. Keepsakes were also given out. In addition, we also have our upcoming events. So on September 15th, we are going to hold our choir coffee house concert in the cafeteria.
First day of Hispanic Heritage Month, we will have a grupo performing during both lunches.
On September 19th, we'll hold our academic awards through periods 1st through 3rd.
On September 26th, we will have our APAC, pronounced APAC, meeting at GTHS.
And on September 25th, we have homecoming week between the 25th through the 29th.
On September 29th, we will have our homecoming rally and football game.
And on September 30th, we will have our homecoming dance through 7 through 11 p.m. on our GTHS quad. And our theme is Fire, Lights, and Enchanted Nights, a night on the bayou. And we have sold over 400 tickets so far. Okay. On behalf of the students at Grand Terrace High School, we thank you for your time, and we welcome any comments and would like to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I go with any questions from board members, I want to take the opportunity, ladies, to thank both of you for sharing a bit of Grand Terrace High School with not only the board, administration, and the people that are here today. As I listen to what you're presenting to us, what goes through my mind is, you know, how can a student not want to go to school? Because you offer so much. There's so much activities. There's so much additional things that they can do besides their academic education. And you make it sound and you show it by what we saw on film here. You know how all these students are enjoying themselves. They're having fun. They're participating. They're engaging. So as they walk away from the Grand Terrace experience, they're taking memories with them. And a lot of those memories were generated because of individuals like yourselves. You're the leaders on that campus, so be proud to do that. I appreciate everything that you do and all the other representatives, ASB representatives that are with you, and great job. So with that said, is there any other board members who would like to make a comment? Mrs. Haro?
Whenever we have student speakers come speak before the board, I always like to mention the fact that the number one fear of most people is speaking in public. And I want to congratulate you on a wonderful job, especially when the screen went out and you just continued to do it like it was not a problem at all. So I think that's very commendable of both of you. It shows a lot about you as a student, and it shows a lot about your character. So I want to thank you for that. I also, like Mr. Ibarra said, I want to thank you for bringing a little bit of Grand Terrace High School to us. And now I know how you get so many students at your event. I think every event they mentioned, there was food. So, and it sounded like good food too. So I guess that's the key, right? To get people to a meeting. You, even with the teachers, you said they had food. So it sounded like a great, all of the events that you have there for your students are wonderful. I want to thank Mr. Ruiz, your ASB director, for leading you so tremendously, and for all the students who participate in ASB, because, you know, with these events help keep kids in school. They help make memories, as Mr. Ibarra said. And it's not just about academics, it's about those memories that you're going to carry forever. I know I went to high school like a long time ago, but I do remember some of those memories. And that's what you're going to carry with you with all of the amazing events you do. So thank you for coming and telling us all about them.
Thank you, Pat. Israel?
Like my colleague said, both Mr. Ibarra and Ms. Haro, I won't reiterate that, but just wanted to congratulate you for a job well done, for taking over. The screen went out, but you guys took over with no problem, which is great. Also, every time I see the videos, I contemplate from when I was in high school. I think like Ms. Haro was saying, I remember we used to do activities like back in the day, who dressed the best, you know, GQ and all that, you know, who had the best hair. You know, I don't have hair anymore, but used to have the good hair, all of that cool stuff. So you kind of contemplate and you see that, and I get excited because I'm still young at heart. I could be 50 years old and I'm still young at heart. And every time I see those activities, and when I get invited to come out, I participate too. I mean, I'm out there dancing with the Polynesian dancers, or I'm dancing norteñas or whatever. But I like to participate with our students because you guys have fun. I know academics are part of what we have to do, but to be able to do academics, you got to have some fun. It's not all about the books all the time. It's about having fun, enjoying each other. Like Ms. Haro said, remembering those memories, because one day either you'll be sitting where I'm at or you'll be in another position and you'll remember those things. I remember when I was in high school. I remember this. I remember that. So congratulations, Mr. Rees, Principal Neighbors. Congratulations. You guys have a great team of young leaders at Grand Terrace High School. Thank you.
Thank you, Israel.
Okay, Alexa and Cielo. By the way, Cielo, I love your name.
Thank you.
I visited your back to school night last night, and I got a glimpse of some of your classrooms, especially the engineering classrooms, and I was impressed with all the things that are happening in those classrooms. Also, I was impressed with the energy and the enthusiasm that kids had in those pathways. So I congratulate you for that. You gave us a glimpse of several things, cultural activities, academics, athletics. So we got a glimpse of what Grand Terrace is all about. So you did a really wonderful job with that. I have a question. You mentioned some of the games you played. I know the Hungry Hungry Hippo game that you buy at Walmart,
Yes.
but can you explain what that is when?
Yeah, so the way we played it indoors in our gym, the way we had it was that students were on these like rolling pads. So it was groups of 3 for every like class. And so it was a group of 3 students, and one of them was on a rolling pad, one of them was holding their feet, and another one had a laundry basket. And then we also had like, what do they call it? Balls?
Yeah,
Ball
like
pit balls?
pit balls.
Or pit balls, yeah. And we were all in the center, and so we had all classes like drag another student around, and they had the laundry basket, and they would have to like pull them back while laying flat. So it was really funny. It was hilarious, and we enjoyed it. And it was actually like we got a lot of feedback, good feedback on it, and it was a good event. Yeah, thank you.
So you grabbed them by their feet?
Yeah, by their feet, and you would like hold them on the rolling pad, and they would have to like grab balls and pull them back. Yeah, that's how we
That's
played
wonderful. We should try that sometime.
Thank you, Bertha. Um, any other board members? Nope. Okay. Just one last thing I'd like to do. I'd like to recognize the people that help you make this possible. Our principal, Mr. Neighbors, and your advisor, Mr. Ruiz. Please stand up. And any other members that are present, please. Thank you.
Are the ladies' parents here? Anyone from their families?
Yeah, my mother. Yeah, my mom's here.
Come on, Mom, let's stand up so we can see you. There she is.
Yeah. It's very, very noted that one of the things that helps students succeed is parental support. And that drives us. I know that my parents drove me. So we truly appreciate parental support, and we talk about it as a board a lot, the importance of that. So thank you. Thank you. With that, once again, want to thank you. And if there's opportunity, I'd like to have you come and shake everyone's hand, please.
We'd just like to thank you for your time, your feedback, and your comments. They mean a lot to us, so thank you. And we welcome you anytime to any of our events. Thank you.
Brilliant. Okay, I see our next presenter is in position. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce our Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Dade, who will be now introducing new management. Please.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Dr. Miranda, members of the audience here and virtually. It is my pleasure to introduce some new members to our management team. And I'd like to first start with our new principal, Ruth O. Harris Middle School, Veronica Rodriguez. All right. So Veronica comes to us with a very eclectic and diverse background. She was an SDC teacher, RSP teacher at both elementary and middle school level. She was an assistant principal at the elementary level, summer school principal at middle school level, and most recently was principal of Nicollet Middle School, and Banning Unified School District. And they're upset that we stole you. I talked to them the other day, so that's a good sign. Some other leadership roles that she's held as a SPED director or department chair of SPED, Web, crew advisor, love Web, and admin designee. Some fun facts: she danced ballet, folklorica. Okay, you said it better than me, so I'll let it ride with that. She is a graduate of Bloomington High School, where she broke CIF records in track, played varsity basketball. You did? Okay, I played a little basketball back in my day. Okay, good. She was theater thespian, ASB PEP commissioner, and was varsity cheer captain. So well-rounded. She has 5 children. One is a U.S. forest firefighter. Is that person here today? Are they here? Okay, good. They're out there fighting fires. Good. One's a San Bernardino sheriff. Not here, out there keeping us safe. I like that. 2 college students. I know they're here tonight and you were introduced them, got to meet them. Firm handshake, so I know they're going to be good leaders. And a middle school student who had the firmest handshake. I see you over there, little one. And so definitely beautiful family. So she is a huge Dodger fan and she bleeds blue and goes to 4 to 5 games a season. And so are any of your kids, do they have any Dodger middle names? You heard about Mookie Betts, right? Yeah. So that actually happened, I heard. So, well, we're so excited to have you here back. Welcome home. And so it's a pleasure to have you back. And I'd like to give you a few minutes to address the board.
All right, good evening, Vice President Ibarra, members of the board, Superintendent Miranda, and members of the Colton community. I want to start by saying a heartfelt thank you to the board and community for having trust and confidence in having me back in Colton as the principal of Ruth O. Harris Middle School. Colton is near and dear to my heart because it is a district that helped raise me and educate me since I was 6 years old. And in fact, my first grade teacher from Lincoln Elementary School, I don't know if she is still here. She's here to celebrate with me this evening, and that's just a testament to the dedicated people of this organization that I get to rejoin as a Ruth O. principal. I know that I follow a predecessor and a friend of mine who led with such heart and compassion, so I hope to just build on her years of service that she spent as the principal at Ruth O. I am excited to meet the Ruth O. Harris Bulldogs, staff, students, and community. A middle school is the most crucial, I feel, the most crucial years in a child's educational journey. And that's where I choose to be because the impact there that you can have at that age is huge. And so I'm just excited. I'm committed. When I walk through those gates every morning, I promise to give 110% of my effort to the community of Bloomington, where I was proud alumni and graduate of. And I'm just excited to be back. And I want to thank you again for this opportunity. I do have my family here who is celebrating with me today, including my godparents and my ninos. I have Ruth and Jose Martinez, who are actually former Yellow Jackets, also a product of Colton, so you can see my roots run deep here. And then my son, Alex, and Fernando, who are also going to college and going to school, hoping to go into education. My daughter, Adriana, who's a middle school student herself, so I understand from a parent perspective how important middle school years are. And then, of course, last but not least, my mother, who is my life role model and my educational mentor. I want to thank you, my mom, Bertha Flores, as well, for being here, even though she kind of has to be here. She was very excited and proud too, but thank you, everybody. Thank you.
And one more round of applause for Veronica, please. And next, I'd like to introduce our new clinical therapist, Daniel Benitez. Daniel also comes to us with an eclectic and diverse background. He has his BA in social work. Me too. Master's in social work. He's a licensed clinical social worker. He was a clinician at Victor Community Support Services. He's an adjunct professor for the School of Social Work at Cal State Los Angeles. And he most recently was a faculty, or still, faculty counselor, counseling and psychological services at Cal State Los Angeles. Sorry about that. He has provided a lot of support at all levels. One of the noted ones that I have here is that he was interim director at Cal State, at the Cal State when his director was out, which shows his leadership. He continues to inject his expertise and care and passion into his career and into the community in LA and beyond by doing onboarding and consultation and all of that and trainings for others. As I said earlier, his roots is in social work. He loves nature and plants, although he can't keep all of them alive. Of course, this is his quote. I'm not making that up. But and also he went skydiving last year for his birthday, and so that's an awesome feat. And you're here today, so that means it went well. So okay, awesome. So, but other than that, we're so happy to have you here, Daniel. You're going to be a great addition to our team, and our community needs you, and it's going to really benefit from what you have to offer. So, congratulations, and I'd like to give you a moment to address the board.
Good evening, members of the board, executive cabinet, friends and family. I want to extend my heartfelt appreciation for the opportunity to serve this community. My roots are in school-based social work, and so being able to return to case management and mental health means a lot to me. It's very surreal to work for a district that prioritizes mental health and the holistic care of students, and so it's just an amazing opportunity to be part of that. And I grew up in the community, and so it's also very rewarding to give back to students and families that, I can see myself in. And so I genuinely appreciate you all and just the investment of mental health and just the complete care of students. Thank you.
Congratulations and welcome. Yes, yes.
One more round of applause for Daniel, please. And last but not least, I'd like to introduce our new communications specialist, Eric Perez. So Eric has a bachelor's degree in communication studies, public communications and media. He was a communication intern for Standalus County Office of Education. Did I say that right? Okay, that's a Northern Cal thing, so I gotta get hooked on phonics sometime with those things. But digital and social media technician for the county office as well. He, in his sophomore year, some fun facts and really denotes his leadership ability. He was, sophomore year of college, he became the youngest national president of a fraternity. And so that's awesome. He was born and raised in Turlock, California, and grew up around almond orchards. And he went to high school, or the same high school, and correct me if I'm wrong, you went to the same high school or you went to high school with this person?
Same high school.
Same high school with Colin Kaepernick. He's a Bruce Lee fan, me too. If you were at the last board meeting, you might know a little bit about that. But he taught himself how to he taught himself how to use the nunchucks via YouTube. So I guess you can do anything with YouTube, right? Okay. And he really has a passion for creating videos, which he's been doing since he was 10 years old with his cousins. And he had an opportunity to do that for one of his art classes in high school. He has dreamed about being in this position that he's in today. And it's just ecstatic. He's emphatically announced and share with us his enthusiasm to be here in our community. He got his start in school communications 3 years ago as an intern and really fell in love with it. And during his free time, he goes to the gym, he skateboards, and he trains in jujitsu. So if you ever need any help going to the parking lot, we'll grab Eric and you'll be all right. So I'd like to say welcome as well, Eric. Your energy has already been great for not only our community, but even in our bordering communities, because your name is known already. And so thank you for all that you're going to do for our district. And I'd like to give you a moment to address the board.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for having me here today. Right off the bat, Colton has already welcomed me with open arms. I hit the ground running. Many of you have already seen me out in the community doing my thing. And yeah, it is truly my dream to be making videos. This is something I envisioned myself doing since I was a kid. So I know we have a lot of students in the audience, and I just want to make the point. If you guys have a dream, keep chasing it till you get it, because dreams do come true, guys. And yeah, thank you, everybody, for having me.
And one more round of applause for Eric, please. And thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Dade, Dr. Dade. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move right into item 4.1, which is public comment. For the public comment, each speaker will be invited to the podium. Oh, do I? Oh, okay, hold on a second. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay. Let me back up a bit. We'll move right into item 3.2, which is the presentation of check. And I'd like to invite Dr. Miranda to the podium.
Thank you, Board President or Vice President Ibarra and board members. It really is an honor this evening to introduce not only a friend, but a partner in our district this evening. Our Supervisor, Joe Baca Jr., who represents the county of San Bernardino, especially the 5th District, Bloomington area, Colton. And so we are just thrilled and excited for the work that he's been doing in the county here. And you know what it is because of his passion for education. A lot of you don't know, but Supervisor Baca is a former teacher. I don't think he ever stopped being a teacher. And he's a coach. He coached or baseball and basketball, and he was a coach at Bloomington High School too. His career he spent at Rialto for many years, city council and coaching and teaching. And so that's where his passion comes from. And I'll tell you on a personal level, when I became principal at McKinley Elementary here in the district, he reached out to me and he provided an opportunity to our elementary kids to take them to Kelsey San Bernardino for a basketball camp, which just blew me away, and our students. It was an amazing opportunity for them to meet NBA players. I still remember the day I took my own son because it was what an opportunity. And so his heart is in education, his heart is with our students. And I know he's here tonight to do a special presentation to the district. So I'd like to invite our friend, our 5th District Supervisor, Mr. Joe Baca Jr.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Miranda, for that kind introduction. I want to thank the Honorable Board of Education and the opportunity. A great community out here. It's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here to support the community. And I'm very, very proud of the things we've been able to do, work jointly with the Colton Joint Unified School District. And one of the things I want to share with you is we're having an opportunity tonight to try to improve on facilities at the district. So I want to give you a little bit of backstory behind it. So I was at the Colton High School graduation. And as I'm walking out, I think it was about 25 degrees below zero that night. Pat Harrell, board member Pat Harrell says, Mr. Baca, we're having some challenges at the ball field over at Bloomington High School. Is there any way you can help us with some funding for some protective netting? So I had the opportunity to go back and look at our budget and our board for the last year. We had some discretionary money. And I said it would be appropriate that we could provide some money to have protective netting. And as a former baseball coach at Bloomington High School, I appreciate this. I know how expensive baseballs are. losing balls over the fence are about $100 a dozen, just so you know, and they go really fast. I know Coach Contreras understands this, but the challenge is for the residents that are there, you know, the ball's going in their backyards. So I says, look, I will pick up, you know, half the cost for the varsity baseball field for $500,000. We will do that from the county of San Bernardino because Bloomington is part of our community, but also it's for the kids. I believe in investing in our kids and our community. It's a way of giving back. And for me, being a former baseball coach at Bloomington High School and seeing their success, they had a great year last year. Let's give it up for this baseball team. Great year last year. Very, very proud of the boys. Very, very proud of the boys, but tonight it gives me a great pleasure to present to the Board of Education, the Bloomington community, a check for $500,000 to build this protective netting. So if we could have the superintendent and the Board of Education, the members of the baseball team and our MAC members come up, and we'd love to present this check and do a photo op, if you don't mind. Thank you.
It was never good enough. I gotta tell you. How to get there. But you see, yeah. Yeah, that's right. I've seen something. Yeah. 30 seconds. All right. So he's here. That Richmond. Okay.
Okay, that's something you don't see every day. I'll tell you, a $500,000 check. Uh, wow, wow. So, that's just a testament to a lot of people who do a lot of hard work in behalf of all the students that we work for. So that's just great. So let's go ahead and move on. We're right into 4.1, which is our public comment section. We do have one card. And before we we have two cards. Oh, okay. Before I entertain that, I must read this. For public comment, each speaker will be invited to the podium and should begin by stating his or her name and reciting city. Board bylaws 9323 states that an individual speaker shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 15 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation, depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that additional persons speak only if they have something new to add. With that, our first speaker is Mr. Frank Acosta.
Good evening, Board of Education for the Colton School District, Superintendent Miranda, and Board Vice President, my tocayo, Frank Ibarra.
Yeah, tocayos.
Well, 3 tocayos, right?
Yes.
That's a good omen, I'm sure. I come today to speak about person who affected the lives of many people during his lifetime. And I speak of Dr. Tom M. Rivera, who passed away last year. And we went to the city council recently, last month, and we're going to be back again the 19th of September to propose that on September 22nd of each year, we recognize Dr. Tom Rivera and everything he did for the community by declaring that day Dr. Tom Rivera Community Service Day. And the board was inclined, another tocayo, Frank Navarro, it was in agreement with the whole concept, the whole idea. And we're doing it partly. I'm a board member of Inland Empire Future Leaders. I'm here with Henry Vasquez, who's sitting in the audience. And the whole idea is to honor Dr. Tom. He attended Garfield Elementary School, then he went to Wilson Junior High School, and the last year that Wilson Junior High School existed, and then he attended Roosevelt because Colton Junior High hadn't been finished at that time for just a few months. And in January of 1954, he was part of the first 8th grade class of Colton Junior High School. Then he went on, excuse me, went on to Colton High School, and then a series of degrees from various colleges and universities. And he then proceeded to work at San Bernardino Valley College, and then eventually was an administrator for 41 years, I believe, at Cal State San Bernardino. And all that time, he was always giving to the community, always helping people out. He was one of our founding members of Inland Empire Future Leaders. And that got its start at Colton Junior High School because when Susan Vargas from San Bernardino, a teacher, brought the idea to us, we were excited about it, but we didn't know which direction to take the idea. So we asked my principal at that time, Dale Chilson, to suggest somebody that we could talk with. May I continue? Thank you. We asked Dale Chilson who he thought we should consult in order to develop this program, and he said, without any hesitation, I've got just the man. It's Dr. Tom Rivera from Cal State, and the rest is history. We're celebrating our 40th anniversary this year, and probably more than 1,000 students from Colton schools have attended the program. All told, we are reached probably about 56 or 5,700 students who have participated over the last 39, and then this year will be the 40th year. So the city will have a proclamation on the 19th, and the idea is to improve, to beautify the school. In 2014, Dr. Tom started a campaign to beautify Colton High School and was able to raise $8,000. And at that point, the school and the school district were more inclined to improve the curb appeal of the school. And so they concentrated on beautifying, and they did an outstanding job of beautifying the front of Colton High School. The only thing that's missing is the old sign with a yogi on it. And in any case, they used the funds available that year for that purpose, and then the other idea of beautifying the rest of the school kind of died out. They didn't follow through on it. So we're trying to revive that effort to beautify, starting with a project to beautify Colton High School, but we're interested in getting community service throughout the entire district and not just in Colton. And that's the purpose of this, the whole idea. Well, the project is supposed to start with senior benches, painting the awning and the poles for the senior area at Colton High School. And then additional projects that haven't been approved yet would be perimeter trash collection, especially along the rear side of the school, and then the planting of a commemorative tree with a dedication plaque. And then an encasement, that's a fancy name for a locking display case for a city proclamation on the exterior or the interior of the building, the multipurpose center, which was named after Dr. Rivera at the district's discretion, of course. And that's basically what my pitch is today. We appreciate your support, and we hope we can do anything we can do to help beautify the high school initially, and then other parts of the district. So I thank you. I appreciate your attention. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. No?
Thank you, Mr. Acosta.
Thank you.
Okay, second person, Mr. Grosic.
Good evening, Dr. Miranda, board members, Gary Grosich, Colton alumni, and other things. You know, I'm Measure G, Bond Oversight Committee Chair for the district, and also here tonight representing the Bloomington Municipal Advisory Council. I'd be remiss, since I'm here this evening, not to talk about an item that I've been involved with for many years, and that's Colton High School Football Booster Program. And my business has spent over 45 years supporting Colton High School football. I was involved in raising money for the tunnel and for the school mascot, along with others. And I'm just very disappointed. I'm not here to point fingers at any individual or the board or anyone, so please don't take my comments that way. But I do have to say that there's a long track record in Colton of embezzlements, mainly with youth sports. And unfortunately, in most cases, they're swept right under the rug. And I believe the reason for that is because if you're a league, why do you want the parents of the kids to know that money that was supposed to go to them got stolen by someone? And this has gone on for many years. I've been aware of it. And at one point, I went on a board to help a league that had been embezzled the year before. And, it's really troubling to hear what's coming out here in Colton regarding this situation. I do want to talk a little bit about the 50/50 thing because I've been a printer of 50/50 tickets. And years ago, probably 1980, the police came to me and said, "Hey, you can't print raffle tickets. That's illegal. That's gambling. But what you can do is you can call it a fundraiser drawing and you have to say it's a donation because technically you're not selling somebody a chance to buy something. You're seeking a donation, and for that donation, you're giving them a piece of paper which may or may not entitle them to get a prize of some type. And that's how we were able to do that. And I've done that for Colton High School many, many years, many years. Contributed to the snack bar as well, other things, team parties. So, I just want it out there that I would ask the school district to deal with this. I know it's not in your normal purview, and that is one of the reasons why, people are like, well, this is a side issue and it's a hassle and everything. But the reality is the money that's raised is going to your students. And the money is being raised at our facilities. And that leaves the board, in my opinion, with an obligation for oversight. And I've said the same thing to Colton elected officials about their youth sports league. So please, I would ask you to take this seriously, and wherever this leads, please, I don't want to say prosecute, but please follow this to the full extent of the law, and so we can set an example for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grosich. Okay. No other cards, Joanne? Okay, thank you very much. So we will now go ahead and close public comment. And let's move right into item 5.1, which is the GEO bond update. And I'd like to invite Assistant Superintendent Fromm.
Good evening. I would like to invite up to the podium Mr. Mike Williams, who serves as our financial advisor with the district, and Mr. Owen Chang, our Director of Facilities, to present on update on our GEO bonds.
So I'm going to go first.
Welcome, Mr. Williams.
Okay. Thank you, Vice President Ibarra and other board members, Superintendent. There we go. Yeah, I'm here tonight to go over with the board and the community and your executive staff here the general obligation program the district has and what your current bonding capacity is. As Greg mentioned, I'm the financial advisor for the district, and I'm the one that helps the district when they issue bonds to make sure that we can do that at the lowest cost and we get as much money out of the program to do the wishes of the board on the projects that are prioritized. So if you go to the second slide, please. Okay, so big picture is the reason why a district wants to do general obligation bonds is because this doesn't come out of your general fund. Proposition 13 for the state of California allows voters in your district to vote for and approve general obligation bonds, and they approve the total dollar amount of bonds that you can issue and therefore borrow. And Also, if it's a 2/3 vote, then there is not a dollar limitation per household or per property. But under Prop 13, it's limited for a unified district at $60 per 100,000. So first of all, there are a couple of limiting factors. Once the community approves a general obligation bond, the education code limits the number of general obligation bonds that you can have out at any one time. And on the board, that may be a little bit hard to see, but the current assessed valuation in the district is $15,765,000,000. And the education code allows for 2.5% of that for GO bonds to be outstanding. And so that's $394 million. The district has had 2 general obligation elections. The first one was in 2001. And we have $45 million in bonds outstanding. And currently for the election of 2008, we have almost 128 million. So when we subtract those, the district could have as many as an additional $173 million in GO bonds outstanding. Okay, next slide, please. So for the election of 2001, all the authorization of $102 million, that's already been issued. So there's no more bonds that can be issued under that election. And we did 3 series of bonds in 2002, 2004, and 2006. And this was the first GO election. And the way this works is the district hires a political consultant that does polling to see what the community will support. And I was involved in the group that raised money for the election. And we were telling the political consultants, this community will, support a larger number than this $102 million. And the need is great, but they, being political consultants, they want to win every election because that's how they're, that's a reflection on their expertise and so forth. So anyway, that was used up fairly quickly. And then there was another election held in 2008. And this one, the polling said that the community would support 225 million in bonds outstanding, but they didn't recommend a 2/3 vote, which would not have placed a limit on the impact of the tax roll. And so this has, we've issued 5 series of bonds, and we have a $60 per $100,000 of assessed valuation as the limit. So, and I have a little table to show you how that works. But anyway, the first bond issue was done in 2009, and there was another one done the following year in 2010, and that was because there was some state matching money. We like to kind of have, spread out the election, but the district got another $30 million in matching funds by issuing these bonds. And then there was another issue in 2011, another one in 2016, and the latest one was 3 years ago during COVID. So those bonds were issued in October of 2020. So right now, the district has $82.5 million that can be borrowed. That's what remains on the $225 million authorization, but it is subject to that limitation on the tax roll of $60 per $100,000. Okay, so if we go to the next slide. Okay, this is the bar chart, and this is going to be hard for the audience to really see this well, but you can see that red line across the top there. That's at the $60 per 100,000. So that's what our upper limit is. And then you can see those bar charts, and they're different colors because each color represents one of the bond issues that was done the 5 bond issues that were done since 2008. So when we do a bond issue, we get right up to almost to the $60 per 100,000. And then as the years go by, there's new building done, which increases the assessed valuation in the district. You know, all these large fulfillment centers, the tilt-up buildings, those all add to that. And also, one of the other additions is as people sell their homes, that, you know, there's an increase of what the assessed valuation is with that. One of the interesting things about the district here is people hang on to their houses for a long time. So we had an analysis done in 2020, and the average assessed valuation for a house within the district for a single-family home was about $217,000. And you know, everybody was saying, well, God, what can you buy for $217,000? Well, obviously those homes were bought a long time ago. And if they pass from, you know, to parents to their children or grandparents to their children, the law allows for those children to maintain that old Prop 13 valuation. So some of them, you know, I inherited the house from my mother and it had a property tax basis of $25,000. So that's one of the things about the community. People seem to stick around here. Okay, so next slide, please. All right, so this is an example of the impact on a single family residential property. And this actually happens to be a property that my wife owned in Ritchie Canyon. And we bought this in 1993. And so it's, we've owned it for 30 years. And so this is an this is a breakdown of how this shows up on the property tax bill. I tried to, you know, put it into the slide, but it just wasn't working. You couldn't really tell what it was. But anyway, if you, when you go home this evening, if you have a copy of your tax bill, or you can go on the Treasurer Tax Collector's website and look at your property tax bill, and you can see this in here. And right in the middle, the last line on the upper portion there, it says the net value of our home in Ritchie Canyon is $307,000. And so that's what we pay our property tax on. And then 1% of that is the general levy, which is on the lower part there. And then you have different other things beyond the 1% that you pay on your property. There's a vector control, Colton Landscape Maintenance District, Colton Stormwater. There's a geo bond or many geo bond issues that have been done by San Bernardino Community College District. And then there's one for Colton Joint Unified. And so for our portion of the Colton Joint Unified School District, it's $201.82. That includes the bonds outstanding from the 2001 election and also for the 2008 election. So off to the side there, I've showed what portion of that goes to the election of 2005. So that's $150.75. So, you know, it's about, so it's about $50 per $100,000. So, you know, if you take your last year's property tax bill, then you can just do the math and figure out how much that is. But as I said, legally, we can't go above $60 per $100,000. So that kind of just demonstrates how this all works and what the impact is for anybody that owns a home in the district. Okay, so the next slide. So I'm sure the board's interested in, you know, when you can get some more money to do projects and so forth. And Dr. Miranda and Greg and Owen called me and said, Mike, you know, we need an update for the board. They'd like to know, you know, how much we have left in bonding capacity for the election of 2008 and where we are with that $60 per 100,000. So we did an analysis using what the current interest rates are for tax exempt bonds. And one of the beautiful things about being a governmental agency is if you borrow money and you're using it for projects, the people that buy those bonds do not have to pay state or federal income tax. So any of us that are in kind of a high tax bracket, it's a good, sometimes, you know, depending on where interest rates are comparatively, it's good to buy municipal bonds, and it also supports the community. So our analysis showed that this year, the district could borrow $38.1 million for projects. And then in the fall of 2026, they could borrow another $43 million. And, you know, what we have to do is we have to take a look at what the increases in assessed value have been over the years. So from 2020, for example, in 2021, there was a 6.3% increase in assessed value. 2022, it was 9.91. 2023, it was 12.2%. And the tax rule that just came out in July showed an increase of 10.67%. Now, it's not going to be that high every year. And as everyone knows now, it's very difficult for people to get a mortgage. And difficult, I mean, it's very expensive. We've had very low interest rates for a long time. A lot of people over the past 4 or 5 years, myself included, you know, refinanced their mortgage, and some of us have a 2 point something and some of us have a 3 point something. But if you were to go out today and get a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, it would be in the 7% range. So basically your interest cost is going to be more than double of what it normally would. And so it's an affordability issue now. So anyway, my analysis was based upon the district's credit rating. So we all know if we go out for a car loan or home loan, we have a FICO score. The district has a credit rating that is provided by 2 rating agencies, Standard & Poor's and Moody's. And with Moody's, you're a AA, which is out of a AAA. So you're in good shape on that. And Standard & Poor's is a little less accommodating with an A+ rating, but those are all investment grade ratings. So those bonds would be permissible to sell to, widows, unsophisticated investors, as well as, bond funds and so forth. And we also used the current tax exempt interest rates as of the end of July, and they really haven't changed that much. I think most people know right now, if you want to get a certificate of deposit or a short-term treasury, you can get over 5%. You can get 5.5% for like a 4-month investment in the treasury. So as far as how it works with a bond issue, we basically slice it up. If we're going to do a 30-year maturity, it's not like a mortgage where you have one interest rate. The way it works in municipal finance is we slice it up and we sell different maturities to different investors. So for a 1-year maturity, it's going to be higher than something for a 20-year maturity. So this is a very abnormal time. Now we have what's called an inverted yield curve, which means that if you're lending or borrowing money on a short-term basis, you're going to pay a higher interest rate than if you were investing or borrowing money for a 10-year, 20-year, 30-year. But just based on that, what the current interest rate environment is and what the assessed valuation is for the current year, those are the amounts that we could borrow. 38.1 million this year, and then in 3 years, an additional 43 million. So that's what we know right now. But as we know, the stock market, the interest market, the economy changes all the time. If we were to have a recession, that's really not good for business and so forth, but it would be great for the district because during a recession, it lowers all interest rates and you could borrow money cheaper. And normally, and I'm sure Greg and Owen would agree with me on this, when contractors aren't running, full speed ahead, when the economy slows down, then you can get your projects done cheaper as well. So I think that's all I have. I think it's your turn now, Owen.
All right, thank you, Mike. Good evening, Board Vice President Barra, Board Members, Superintendent Miranda, members of the public. We're gonna segue, Mike, and talk about the finances available capacity that we can utilize to do improvements. We're gonna segue into give more update in terms of our facility needs. First slide is as many of the board recall, back in 2017, we undertook a 6-month effort to develop a long-range facility master plan. As a result of the process, we identify over $1.2 billion worth of need. That's correct. It's $1 billion. So, next slide, please. And so I apologize for the small text, but so out of that list of identified needs on the facility master plan, we kind of focus on the executive cabinet along with direction from the board. Prioritized list of projects that was kind of identified with the highest priority starting from the bottom. Some of the project, again, apologize for the illegible text, is the Colton Middle School NPR building modernization. We also have the Colton High School NPR building. And some of the photos on the right illustrate some of the projects that we were able to complete in the last several years. While we made significant strides in making significant important projects, you can see just from a dollar figure, we still have there's much work that remains to be done. Next slide, please. So just really, in addition to the needs that were identified in the long-range facility master plan, there are other needs that rose over the last period, several years. Some of which are regulatory, state mandate. One on the top of the bullet point is the Universal Transitional Kindergarten Program, which came about recently, government passing a law that requires the school to accommodate additional grade level students with full implementation 25, 26. And then we also had the Zimmerman Elementary, the relocation of that. That's going to require a substantial amount of investment to relocate Zimmerman Elementary. So just looking at the available money, bonding capacity we have, the issuance, we're looking at projecting utilizing about half of the capacity to allocate to complete the construction of the Zimmerman Elementary. And I'll touch upon that a little bit on some of the reason and construction costs and the reason why. We also have regulatory mandates. We have building code upgrades every 3 years. They're continuing to upgrade, add additional requirements, yet they don't provide us additional funding. One example is a photovoltaic system that any new buildings they're going to require an additional battery storage. So all these requirements are added to our project, yet we're not getting additional funding to meet those regulatory mandates. And also other routine maintenance things like turf replacement, which we're collaborating with maintenance operation on their budget to accomplish. Next slide, please. So one of the challenges that the whole construction industry has been facing is the construction cost escalation. So for nearly about 3 years, the U.S. construction industry has been impacted by really unprecedented volatility and material costs, labor force shortage, supply chain issues, and rising energy costs. Those all have really a direct impact on our construction costs and our ability to really carry out some of the facility needs that we have. Just illustration, this is from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, showing some of the price escalation that we've been seeing in some of the major construction materials over the past 2 years, starting from February 2020 to September 2022. So you can see some of the major building components, iron and steel, it's gone up 69%. Steel mill products, 91%. Wires and cable, 41%. Lumber, think we heard a lot about the plywoods, and that has gone up significantly. Now, some of the escalation has subsided, but we're still seeing it's still a lot higher than what we've seen during the pre-pandemic level. Supply chain issue, we're still dealing with that. Some of the electrical gear equipment are still 9 to 12-month lead time. So those are some of the challenges, which also has impact on costs. Again, labor force shortage. We have a lot of people that are retiring are no longer in the industry, but the people that are coming in there's still a significant gap in terms of fulfilling those the labor roles. So those are some of the challenges and that we're continuing to face. Next slide, please. So just one illustration about the construction illustration. I think this is a good example. Colton High School. In 2019, we bid out the new NPR building. It's an 18,000 square foot building. Now both these projects are competitive bids, so we are required by regulation to select the lowest bidder. The new NPR building came in at $608 a square foot. A comparable building in terms of the building type, with a lot of kitchen, culinary facility with a lot of infrastructure, kitchen equipment, so forth. A comparable facility right adjacent to the new NPR building was bid in 2023, and that bid came in at $12 million with a building about half the size and at $1,300 a square foot, which is about 2.2 times the cost just over a period of 4 years. So we're not alone. This is, speaking with my counterparts, they're all dealing with this cost escalation and trying to wrap our arms around it. So just in general summary, I hope I illustrate the continuing needs. We have aging facilities and infrastructure. 2 of our newest high schools they're over 11 years old now. So and majority of our campuses were built in the 50s. So the continued upgrades and buildings are continuing to get old and need improvements. As I mentioned also, we have unfunded mandates that I mentioned earlier that also has impact on increase the demands and facility needs. Also want to point out, with the, really want to thank the community for believing in us and trusting us, investing in the facilities. And because of the community support, we've been able to leverage the local support revenue and receiving over $156 million from state facility program matching funds since 2005. The last facility bond that was passed, and it was in 2016. That's pretty much, it's all oversubscribed, so there's really no money left. So, and the state legislature understanding the continuing need to support the school district, are looking at a possible bond, AB 247, looking at preliminary numbers of $14 billion for continuing a facility bond in November 2024 election to continue to support the program. So, with the ongoing cost escalation, some of the challenges we've seen, it's ever more important to really maximize our resource and leverage our local dollars to pursue these grant opportunity to really stretch our dollars and maximize our resources to get as much facility built as we can. And just the last bullet point, there's a recent research done by California School Facility Research Institute with University of Oregon Architectural Department, showing really correlation between facilities and students' engagement in learning. It goes into a lot of details, things like indoor air quality, lighting, view to the exterior all those have positive impact in terms of the student learning environment. So a study like those that really continue to motivate us to continue to work hard and strive to improve the facility for our students and staff. So this concludes my presentation. I'll turn over to Assistant Soup Trump.
Next slide, please. Before we have questions, I just want to point out one thing. The average age of our facilities in Colton is 58 years old. That's the average age of it. There's a lot of work to be done, and as you can see, the costs are rising. So tonight I'm going to ask for consensus on 2 items. One, to go out for the next series in G of F, $38 million, and then consensus to bring back a board agenda for True North to survey Colton community about the possibility of going out for a GO bond in the 24 election. I'm going to turn it over for questions for right now.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions from the board? I'll start off with Dan.
Absolutely. You know, I've got questions. No, first of all, thank you for the presentation. I know that this is something I actually do find fascinating. I enjoy because it really is an opportunity for us to look long-term at our district, the future. So first of all, to the point of looking at what we have left with Measure G, which is our 2008, we do have some capacity, which is good. It's great, actually. And I just want to clarify for myself, the board, and anyone that might be listening, that by issuing another series, we're not necessarily increasing the tax per se based on that issuance. We're at that $60 per 100,000 threshold period, right? So as your taxes increase, which they do 2% a year, you'll see an increase, but you'll see that increase essentially come about because we're pushing that $60 per $100,000 threshold. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Board Member Flores, we're at about, $49 or $50.
Okay.
And in the example where I showed you my bill, it's like $50.
Yeah.
So we can't legally go over $60. So basically, if my assessed value stayed the same, then instead of 150, it'd be $180.
So it's a nominal increase, you're right, but the protection is that $60 limit per 100,000 of assessed valuation.
Right. And if you maintain, you don't buy a new home or put on a big room addition, then incrementally it's going to be smaller. But what helps people that don't, buy a new home every 7 or 10 years is that the people that come and buy a house that somebody owned for, like my house, owned it for 30 years, it's going to go from, $307,000 assessed value up to, $650,000. And all the new building helps out to keep the people that, like I say, don't move or don't, do a big addition to their property. So that, that helps, tamp that down as well.
Well, and as you were describing the challenge with our district, we don't have a lot of turnover of property overall comparative to other parts of, I'll say parts of the county. I mean, there's a lot of truth to that. Being from Colton and literally living, a block and a half from where I grew up and knowing everyone in the neighborhood, a lot of the houses are handed down generationally. It's wonderful, I think, for the neighborhood, but you're right. When it comes to assessed valuations, you don't see a lot of that growth that you see in other parts of the county or in areas where you have tremendous building. Just thinking of, Fontana that has grown tremendously in the north end, or parts of Ontario that are expanding, and you see a lot of construction. We don't see that. I'm just thinking of my mom bought her house in 1977, and she's complaining because her general levy tax is somewhere in the neighborhood of like $550, right? Which I think any one of us would love to have that problem. But right, so for everyone that has a high tax bill, you've got plenty of folks that are on that lower end. So it's the reality of our district. And I think it makes perfect sense to continue through with the Measure G bond issuance. We've made that commitment. We've delivered, I think, on the projects. As you look over the last 10 years, what we've constructed, what we've leveraged with state money, you can look around the district and see some incredible improvements to schools, classrooms, stadiums, the NPR building at Colton, the NPR building at Bloomington High School. These are amazing facilities that wouldn't have been made possible without bond money. In your earlier presentation, Mr. Williams, you talked about sort of that capacity, the overall capacity, and this is shifting to the idea or the conversation about going forward, a potential new issuance or a new geo bond. Is that capacity limit our ability to set the mark on the overall bond approval capacity? And make sure I give an example so I can explain it well. Well, no, it wasn't Ontario Montclair. I think it was Chaffey Joint Union High School District went after some monster bond a few years ago, and they got it. It was somewhere in the neighborhood of $800 million, just shy of $1 billion. Now, is that obviously they're a larger district? I think their assessed valuations are much greater than ours. But is there a cap on what you can propose to the voters? Or is it simply a cap on what you can issue at any given time? You can't go beyond what is actually on the streets, so to speak.
Right. There are two different things, board member. And let's just use an example. Let's say that True North does polling and the community says, let's go big. Let's go for a $300 million or $500 million authorization. So that's what it is. That gives the district the ability to issue $500 million. But if you remember in the early part of the presentation, I said that the education code only allows 2.5% of the gross assessed valuation, which was like 15.7 billion. So right now it's $172 million, but it's gonna get larger every year as the assessed value goes up and also as you pay debt down. So you got those two things working in your favor. So, as big as we can go would be great. And then it's going to be limited by the education code, that 2.5%. And the other thing is if you do a Prop 39, which is going to limit you just for those bonds to $60 per 100,000. So there'll be $60 per 100,000 on the 2008 election. And if there's a 2024 election, that would be another $60.
Okay.
So that's how they work. That's how they work.
Okay. And that's helpful. So I think the part of the conversation we'll have to have as a board is, to what extent do we want to aim high? Because, and this is my opinion, I don't know that we're ever going to be in a position where we're not going to need to tap into this resource. The way schools are funded these days, there isn't a lot of money for facilities. The state doesn't build into our ADA, hey, you're going to need 15 million here or 25 million there. The whole funding structure has changed, and really districts rely on those bonds to do the vast majority of their heavy lifting when it comes to facility improvements, new construction. So I think having that higher capacity, knowing that the protection, and I like that as a taxpayer, I'm protected. I know you're never going to overprescribe bonds because you're limited in what you can actually do based on valuations.
Right. That's when you have somebody like Eric was doing the communications things. Your new employee to get the message out, to talk about how there are some limits. The district is not going to, if let's say the voters approve $300 million, the district's not going to go out and issue $300 million and put that burden on the tax roll at one time. As you can see from the slide before, the bar charts are, they had all those different colors there. Each different color was a different issuance of bonds. And that's how it's going to be. They'll be layered one on top of another. Because the other thing is that you have to be able to spend the money within 3 years.
Right.
So there's some tax issues also.
Okay. And then regarding Zimmerman or the new Zimmerman Elementary School, this was not envisioned, obviously, when we went out in 2008 for the bond. I know we had a list of projects at the time that we shared with the community focusing on that. Now we're in a new situation where this has been a big commitment we've made to the community to replace that school with a brand new state-of-the-art school. We have a commitment from a private investor, if you will, developer that's going to contribute $40+ million to that project. Probably not enough to finish all of it. We're going to need to tap into the Series F of Measure G. The fact that it wasn't part of that original list or conversation doesn't preclude us from using those bond dollars, does it?
I don't think so. We can check with bond counsel on that, but I don't think so. Usually they try to leave it, fairly general, but they do mention things that, you're going to promise the community. So you couldn't, like do a swimming pool if you never mentioned like any aquatic things or, something like that. So when you do the election, there is a discussion about what the district wants to do. And that's, part of the package. So that'll be something else that, a consultant will help you craft that to get a good message across and get support from the community.
Okay. Well, I think at least on that specific project, we'd want to maybe get clarity from bond counsel. There's no question that classrooms and schools are well within the defined parameters of Measure G, but I just want to make sure we weren't limited to saying these are the only projects that we're going to complete, because I think for most of us, that's now probably the priority project. We've got to deliver on that. We've promised the community. We've got a timeline. So I think those are the only questions that I have. I appreciate the presentation. It's good to know that we've got some capacity left, and I think the more that we can share with the community what we've delivered. And the other thing I'll make a note, and I'll certainly thank Ms. Director Chang and your staff. What we don't see a lot here anymore are extensive change orders on projects. There was a time when it felt like we had a lot of fluctuation in what we went out to bid for and what we've contracted for, and then we would see substantial change orders come in and come in and come in. We're seeing less and less of that. Obviously, it's going to happen at times, but the more work we do on the front end, the better and tighter we get those projections and those contracts and deliver on time and on budget. That's the best example to the community of us being good stewards of the money. So I want to thank you for that, because your team has done a very good job of that. I appreciate that. And that's certainly something we would want to commit to the residents going forward, that we'd be responsible. So that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Any other board members, any other comments? Yes. Wow, wow, yes. Director Chang, just a quick question. Talking about Zimmerman and the new Zimmerman, we'll call it that. Chances of matching funding. What does that look like? Obviously, we will probably not be able to move fully until we know the outcome of flying the bond and seeing how that comes out with our voters. But what opportunities, or do you see or hear of any opportunities that could maybe get us moving in that direction quicker?
Sure, definitely. One of the things we're looking at, we have a funding consultant that we're working with to seek any potential funding opportunity. Typically, the OPSC or State Allocation Board have two pots of money. One is new construction and the other modernization. So with new construction, it's really challenging for many districts currently because of declining enrollment, because they're really looking at your capacity and your needs. With declining enrollment, you're starting to have excess capacity. So it's really difficult to justify the need for a new construction funding. On top of that, they changed some regulations where the way in which they process the application. You can submit your application, but they make you, by the time they evaluate or review your application, it could be 2 or 3 years down the road. So you may anticipate a certain amount of money, but if you're still continuing seeing declining enrollment, you may not have the money that you may be counting on. So that's something that we're looking at from legislature, see if they can change the priority or the methodology in which they determine the funding eligibility. So one thing we are looking at is the existing Zimmerman Elementary, because the aging school, we're looking at the possibility to transfer some of the modernization eligibility to the new campus. So that's we're continuing to pursue that, and we'll provide an update once we get any definitive answers. So.
Okay, thank you very much. If there's no other questions, thank you, gentlemen. Yes.
So with that being said, I'm asking for consensus if we can go start the process for Series F from Measure G.
Okay, thank you very much. There is consensus on board. I'm seeing yes heads going up and down. Pat? Okay.
Thank you. And consensus to bring back the board item to have True North survey Colton community for the possibility of going out for a GEO bond in 2024.
Have to know that. Yes, you have it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to stay up here because I'm presenting again.
Okay.
So I'll invite Maria Amanda up to join me, our wonderful Director of Fiscal Services. All right, Jamal's all ready to go. Okay, so we're here tonight to present to you the 22-23 unaudited actuals. Next slide, please. The purpose of the UAs, as we call them, is to present the financial condition of the district as of the last day of June in 2023, subject though to our annual audit. Annual report is filed with the county and state outlining our revenues, expenditures, and ending fund balances for all funds. The 23-24 beginning fund balances are updated to reflect prior year's ending fund balances. Next slide, please.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Miranda, Executive Cabinet, and members of the audience. It's my pleasure to be here tonight to present on the 22-23 unaudited actuals. This slide shows the comparison between estimated actuals and unaudited actuals for the unrestricted general fund. Total revenues were 8.5 million more than estimated, primarily due to a decrease to the contributions to restricted programs. The decrease was a result of increased funding for special education programs and the use of one-time expiring funds. Total expenditures also decreased by 1.5 million due to the use of one-time expiring funds. Next slide, please.
So on the restricted side, our general fund revenue decreased by $6.6 million, mainly due to the decreased contribution from the general fund to the restricted funding source. Next slide. Here's a chart that shows the beginning fund balances as of July 1, 2022 for other funds and the activity throughout the school year and how the fund balance ended. So the most important things is we do not want to see red in the column from July 1st in 2022, and we don't want to see red in the closing books in that. So we have a few of the activities that are in red that just meant those funds deficit spent. But what we're very proud of with this is none of those funds here need a contribution from our general fund to operate, which is excellent. Next slide, please.
So part of the closing of the books is balancing restricted accounts, which at times can require contributions from the unrestricted general fund. In the 22-23 fiscal year, the unrestricted general fund contributions totaled 32.6 million. Next slide, please.
This slide here represents our unrestricted multi-year projection and also how we closed for 2023. The most important thing I want to point out in here is, as you can see, in 22-23, our restricted contribution was lower. That is going to go back up as projected in 23-24, 24-25, and 25-26. And also, I want to point out too as well, we're projected to deficit spend this current year of 6.5 million. That grows to 15.3 million in 24-25 and 19.7 in 25-26. So it's very important as we move forward, our expenses have to align with our enrollment. Our enrollment is going down, so our expenses have to adjust to that. I'll use this term a lot. If we don't, that's an alligator, right? It's going to go like this, and that's not sustainable in that. So as we move forward, as we bring our interim reports, you will see that as we're going forward to tailor our expenses to the dollars that are brought in. And remember, our dollars are brought in not by enrollment, about the amount of students that come to school. So that's why we're actively have our Come to School campaign. It's very important to learning, but it's very important to funding as well. Next slide, please.
So the GAN limit is a constitutional amendment which places limits on the growth of expenditures for government agencies. For the 22-23 fiscal year, the district was within its GAN limits. Next slide, please.
Final thoughts for us. So the 22-23 unaudited actuals indicated a surplus in our unrestricted general fund. The district is projecting deficit spending in the out years. Fiscal services will be posting carryovers in October after CBEDS, and the district will begin to prepare first interim report in November, and we'll be back here to present that to the board in December. Next slide. Thank you, and any questions?
Thank you very much. Entertain any questions from the board at this time. No? Okay. Um, Of course, the concern is this year and the following 2 years with deficit spending. We'll be asking, and I'm sure we'll be monitoring with our superintendent, how we're gonna try to bring that down as much as possible. What is the plan to do that? Because if we continue to deficit spend throughout those 3 years, our projections to the county will not be favorable, as we well know. So, I look forward to hearing, as I'm sure the rest of the board, what can we do or what are we in the process of doing so that we can minimize that deficit spending throughout this year and the following years, because it just pretty much more than doubles. So, see, yes, go ahead, Dan.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice President Barr. Just one point I wanted to make, and the superintendent made this point. It's a small point, but I think an important one, just around the nutrition services budget. In years past, that had been a deficit for us, something that was a challenge. We would have to go and try to track down folks and get them to contribute towards that. And it was a struggle that we had from a policy standpoint because we didn't want to deny kids from getting lunches. We didn't want to do the whole quote unquote lunch shaming where if your parents didn't pay, we were going to give you a secondary. No, that's not our culture. Obviously, a lot has changed. We're now in a different situation where we're part of a program where essentially all kids get to eat and we get fully reimbursed for the lunches that we provide. From a budget standpoint, of course, that's great. That's fantastic. But what I'll share from a parent perspective, and I think a policy perspective, it's also done something else at the school sites. It's brought a complete culture change around the idea of school lunch. It's brought equity. When I go to Fulton High School and I see every kid getting in line to grab a school lunch, you didn't see that many years ago. And granted, it's been a long time since I've been in school, but when I was at Colton High, I don't think I ever took a single school lunch, not once in 4 years. And let's be honest, at that point, it was seen more as a social service program. School lunch was something that kids qualified for because they were low income. And even though I did qualify for school lunch, I wouldn't be caught dead in that line because I didn't want people to know. That was generally the thought process back then. It was seen as a stigma. Today, that's not the case. When everybody gets to eat and it's equitable and it's good and it's delicious and it's something that all the kids want, we've changed that culture and nobody feels left out or feels awkward or feels unsure about participating now and going to the NPR, going to the cafeteria, having a lunch. My son loves the lunches at the middle school because, Dad, you can go back as many times as you want. So it's something that now he doesn't even think about. He just enjoys with his friends. And for all the kids that go to our school, I think we're in a better place because of that. So I'm appreciative of, yes, from a budgetary standpoint, we're no longer having to backfill that. But think of the culture change that we brought at our school and our school site. So it's a very cool thing to see. And I'm very much appreciative of that. So I thank everybody that's been part of that. And Director Enciso, you were a big part of that as well in the time that you spent there. So thank you for that.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Any other questions, Israel? No? Pat? No? Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go ahead and move right into our action session, action items 6.1 through 6.46. At this time, I will welcome or entertain a motion for approval throughout the whole items, unless anyone here has an item they'd like to pull for separate consideration. 6.42. Any others? Okay, not hearing any. So at this time, I will entertain a motion for approval for items 6.1 through 6.46, with the exception of 6.42. Okay, I have a motion of approval for Mr. Fuentes. Can I get a second, please? Okay, thank you, Dan. And Mr. Flores. Okay, we do have first and second for the item 6.1 through 6.46, with the exception of 6.42. Any comments, questions, concerns? Not hearing any. All those in favor indicate by stating aye. Aye. Anyone oppose? Any abstentions? Item 6.1 through 6.46, with the exception of 6.42, is approved on a 6-0 vote. At this time now, we'll move to 6.42. So I'll entertain a motion for approval, please. Okay, I have Mr. Fuentes. And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and Mrs. Flores. Okay, opportunity for any comments, questions, or concerns? Not hearing any. This is 6.42. We do have a first and a second. All those in favor indicate by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone oppose? Okay, one opposition. Any abstentions? At this time, we have 6.42. It passes with a 5-1 vote. Okay, Joanne, you got it? Thank you. Okay. So with that, we'll go ahead and move right into our administrative reports. We do have item 7.1, approved disbursements. If there's any questions, please indicate as so. Facility update, I understand there's none, so we're okay. And then I'll move right into our ACE update, and I'd like to invite ACE President Christina Parachi to the podium, please.
Good evening, esteemed board members, Superintendent Miranda, cabinet members, and member of the audience. My name is Christina Parachi, and I have the privilege of serving as the president of Association of Colton Educators. My voice sounds funny. As we reflect on the conclusion of the first month of the new school year, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the staff, classroom teachers, and district employees for their unwavering support and dedication to addressing the challenges and changes that have arisen. Commencing a new academic year has brought adjustment, extra work, and stress, particularly regarding the Department of Justice demands. If you're not tired of hearing DOJ, you will be by the end of this year. These changes have had a significant impact on our entire staff. It is essential to acknowledge the flexibility and resilience that everyone has demonstrated during this transition period. I have received feedback about the new demands and how that is impacting the classroom teachers and everybody else. Many members must put in extra hours to complete what is expected. Most of the administration supports allocating collaboration time for ELD lesson plans. But even with this accommodation, their work necessitates hours beyond the work day. We still have some school planning other things during that time, causing frustration and staff feeling unsupported. Dr. Peterson and I are working on solving some of the isolated cases. The first month of school typically involves considerable testing at all grade levels. As we move into September, teachers can focus more on the core of their profession, which is teaching. This shift would undoubtedly have a positive impact on the educational experience of our students. I am pleased to report that negotiations for the 23-2024 are starting on September 18. The bargaining teams have shown outstanding dedication and efficiency in their work in previous years, and I'm optimistic that we can reach an agreement in a timely manner. I challenge them to consider completing the negotiation by December 15, and we can return to negotiating 1 year ahead. I know Mrs. Harrell would be happy. I would also like to congratulate the new administrator who have joined our educational community. The association ACE is eager to collaborate with them and look forward to a productive working relationship. In closing, I want to express my sincere appreciation to the school board members for their continued support, willingness to listen, and commitment for problem solving. Your dedication to the success of our students and staff is commendable. Together, we can ensure that our educational community thrives in the face of change and challenge and DOJ. Thank you again for your unwavering support, and I look forward to our continued collaboration into this coming year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. CSCA update. Any representatives? Okay, thank you. I see there's no MAC update, if I'm correct. No? Okay. ROP, we haven't met yet for this month, so that'll be next week. So we'll move right into 8.1, which is our superintendent's communique.
Thank you, Mr. Ibarra. Board members, executive cabinet, and members of the audience, and also virtual that are out there virtually listening. Good evening, and I will be as short as possible in my communique this evening. First, I want to start out with the first slide and provide an update. You know, we have the design plan it's being implemented across the district. We worked on it for over 3.5 years, and so the plan is out there. Now it's time to brand it, market it, and put it out there. So I'm just very excited to announce that we have launched the design plan website, and you see some examples there. It can be found on the district website. We're very proud of this work of the design plan team that has completed not only the website design, but also all the work that's being done on the three pillars of professionalism, professional learning, and equity. We also excited about the work that's being done by pilot schools, in doing the teaching for effective learning training that's going on across the district too, which, by the way, is the executive cabinet is part of. So all this work that's being completed, you can find, and you want to dive into a little bit more, you can dive into our design plan website, and you can see the vision, again, students first, student achievement, equity, and wellness. Sorry about that. I probably need more wellness here, but I'm good with that. And then you can also find the contextual analysis that was done through the design plan process. And so again, just thank you to the staff who has completed the work and continue to the advisory team, and all this, again, it's about the vision that we have for our district. And as we build momentum, as we get that momentum going, and we see this achievement going up, we see the wellness, we see the equity of our district improvement. Again, this is all, again, for improving what we're doing for our district. Again, thank you to the staff. Next slide, please. Heroes building successful children. We know, again, and Mr. Fromm said it, attendance and not only about funding, but it's about achievement. We want students to be in class every single day and on time. So the month of September is Attendance Awareness Month. So all classes, TK through 8th grade, will be competing for the best class with the highest attendance rate at their schools. Each Wednesday during the month of September, there's a theme Spirit Day to highlight this year's attendance theme of Heroes Building Successful Children. So we're encouraging students to dress as a superhero or their favorite community hero. The winning class for the month of September will earn a Kona ice cream treat courtesy of Student Services. Thank you to Dr. Ortiz and his team for leading the charge. And if you follow me on Instagram or you follow the district Instagram, you'll see the reel, right, that Eric put together of students at Colton Middle and myself as Superintendent Miranda. Thank you, Eric, for pushing me to do that, because trust me, I did not want to do it. But We have to do everything we can to encourage and motivate our kids to get to school every single day. We need them, and we're doing a fantastic job with that. So really appreciate the efforts of improving our attendance this year. All right, last slide, please. Again, talking about vision and talking about what were the goals that we have for our district. And this year, you've heard this 10-10-95-95. Cabinet, myself and Cabinet, we've established goals for the 23-24 school year to improve student outcomes. So I've charged superintendent and each principal, I've charged each principal with increasing our ELE percentage rates by 10% and also increasing our math percentage rates by 10%, to have also a 95% positive attendance rate and a 95% graduation rate for our high school principals. 10-10-95-95, I went over this with our principals at our first principals meeting. So last week, I had the opportunity with Executive Cabinet to meet with each principal. Took us about a week. Cabinet and I, we spent a lot of time together. And we spent valuable time with our principals discussing their plans on how they were going to achieve this. And so we looked at the strengths and also the challenges, because here, Cabinet's here to support every single principal on how to overcome those challenges, those barriers, but what they need to meet these goals. So very excited, very motivated, inspired by our principals. It was a great conversation. Also, I want to thank Director Mooney and Director Hyder for being part of those discussions. Mrs. Director Joda Murphy, who was there too. And I want to thank our principals for coming in, having this great discussion. Again, I'll say it again. I'll say it to all you that are out there. We're here to support you. And I want the board to know that their schools are in great hands with the individuals that are leading our schools. And so 10-10-95-95 are our goals for this year. And we're going to do it. We're going to make it. We're going to see the scores go up. And we're headed in the right direction, thanks to the leadership that is happening out there. So again, we're off to a pretty good start. I think great start. And we're moving in the right direction. So all we need is that momentum to keep going. All right. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Mr. Ibarra. That's my communique for this evening.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Superintendent. And at this time, we will move right over to board members' comments, and I'll start with Board Member Haro.
Well, I want to thank everyone for being here. I also want to thank, I want to thank, first of all, I want to thank our M&O department. After going to so many, along with my colleagues, to the back to school nights, 2 years ago, this board was really upset when we went back to school and schools weren't ready. I mean, and not just not ready, they were in a horrific state. And it was embarrassing to bring kids back to school when the schools look like that and to bring staff back. But I can say that after last year, we got better. And this year it has been phenomenal. The school sites were so clean. And I'm just really, really very grateful to them for continuing to keep them up, because it was really nice to go out to the sites and to see that from the elementary sites, middle school, and the 2 high schools that I've been to, or actually Washington as well. Everything just looked really clean. So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for all your hard work. It is truly appreciated. I also I want to bring up, I was at DRC Elementary, and I want to bring up, can you bring up the photo? Okay. Okay. So this is Mrs. Moreland's class, and she had the kids, she did a Y, and she put a great classroom looks, sounds, and feels. And these are some of the things that kids brought up. It feels kindness, it feels cozy, it feels tired, it feels happy, it feels joyful, it looks clean. Their students are sitting correctly in their chairs. It sounds happy, laughing, quietly reading, participating and asking questions. And I just thought it was really cool that she, yes, of course, she prompted them and then they came up with these answers. And I just thought it was a really great thing to see. And I just wanted to say, what a great job. And that is in the classroom. And when they don't do the things that are on there, or when things are not quiet or they're loud, she reminds them by showing the poster that they came up with. So I think it was just great. And I wanted to make sure that I brought that up. The other picture I wanted to share with you tonight is Bloomington High School's back to school night. They had a great turnout. And I want to say that I walked in all of our ROP classrooms. I walked into several other classrooms, and ROTC had a phenomenal turnout. And I wanted to just show you this picture in Mr. Gallo's art class. This is she's now a junior in art, and she's taken it 3 years and will do so again in her senior year. As you can see, it's not completed, but when you look at that, and I know it's kind of hard because you can see, oh, there you go. Look at the detail that this student is drawing on this. Is supposed to be an ice cream truck. And you can see all of the detail from the ice creams, the different kinds of ice cream, the different kinds of smoothies, all of the different things. So these are the kind of things that are happening in our art classes. And this is an amazing junior, and this is her 3rd year in art, and she wants to move on to with her art career in the future. And they will be taking her to what they call Folio Day, when all the art schools look at the students. So I just wanted to share all of that detail. When you look at that photo, it's truly amazing. The banana split has the 3 flavors and the sprinkles and everything. It's just tremendous. So I just wanted to share that because I just thought it was really just amazing. I want to, Mr. Torres, your back to school night. I know Mr. Fuentes went and Dr. Miranda went, and it was really a great event. I like the way that, it had we had live teachers, and then we also had the teachers who were also doing through the internet for their what is the word I want? Homeschooling or whatever. And I think that was really great. And I just wanted to commend you on a great job. And again, the campus was so clean. So it's just like, I can't help saying that because it really was, it really was. So I wanted to just commend you on a great back to school night. And Ruth O'Harris Middle School, welcome to Veronica. We're so excited to have her over at Ruth Middle School. I know that the staff is eagerly awaiting her. I know she was at back to school night, and they're eagerly awaiting her arrival because they know great things are going to happen. So I want to just again welcome her, and I just want to thank everybody for being here this evening. I know that not all of you, but most of you have other places that you could be, but you're here with us. So apologize that the meeting has gone on a little long this evening. So thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, Pat. Board Member Sandoval? Okay, thank you. Bertha?
Okay, I want to just thank all the administrators and teachers for the successful back to school nights. I've been to a lot of the classrooms throughout the district. And one thing that I gravitate always just to go in a classroom is I just look for classroom libraries and areas where kids can curl up and with a good book. That's just my passion. In my house, personally, I have a little box, a wooden box full of books for the neighborhood kids. And I love when kids come in and bring books and then take back some. So I'm constantly, refreshing my stock there. And so it's very important that kids have books in their hands. some research that I came up with shows that students with access to classroom libraries read anywhere from 50 to 60% more than their peers. So it's very important that when a child, sometimes, when they're getting ready for recess or there's some downtime, they finish an assignment, if they see a book, and in the and I'm specifically talking about elementary, first, second, third grades. If they see, a book across the room with the cover showing, they will gravitate to it and grab the book and read it. And it's so important that we have these classroom libraries and areas. And if funds is the problem, we have a solution. So it shouldn't be, that should be a priority. Ms. Murphy, I'm sure that, you always accommodate our schools with that, with funds. So anyway, thank you for that. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Bertha. Israel?
Just a quick comment, and I apologize for my voice. Got some allergies, and I really don't like them. Just wanted to thank the MNO and our administrators during the weekend of the so-called tropical storm Hillary. Since from actually, I think Friday, Saturday, and Sunday they were on it. They were keeping an eye out to see, making sure that if we would have school Monday. We didn't have school Monday, of course. And many know that the governor put a state of emergency to Southern California because of Tropical Storm Hillary, I think it was, or Hurricane Hillary. But I want to thank MNO and I want to thank our administrators that did come out on Monday. And I know MNO was on it all weekend long, keeping an eye on things. It was pretty crazy weekend. I had asked my wife, hey, we're just gonna stay here, but my daughter had an incident in Tijuana. She went to a wedding in Ensenada, and she broke 2 fingers that weekend, and I had to drive to Ensenada, and that was kind of scary. But we made it back. If I'm here, so. But other than that, I want to thank M&O and our administrators for keeping an eye on things. I want to thank Executive Cabinet, Superintendent Miranda, for the diligence in making sure that our campuses were safe, making sure that our campuses were ready for Tuesday when kids got back to school, that debris or anything that was from the tropical storm wasn't laying around and in the way of our students. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much, M&O administrators, Executive Cabinet, Superintendent, for your diligence and for being out there for our students. They kept the board intact of everything that was going on. They kept sending us messages. I would get a text, an email, and I think even a phone call we got. And I want to thank you very much because I know that we do care for our students. We care for our students, we care for our communities, and we also care for our facilities. Our facilities are pretty old. I think Assistant Superintendent Frum said that they're about 58, the average 58 years old. We just celebrated 75 years of Mary B. Lewis. So you can imagine our schools are getting up there, but they're looking better every day. And they look very clean, very up to date for what the ages of the schools look like. But once again, thank you very much. And that's all I have. Have a great rest of the week and a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Israel. Dan? Okay, thank you, Dan. And I just want to just say thank you for spending your evening here with us. And with that, the board will now adjourn to closed session to discuss the items listed on the closed session agenda. Motion by Mrs. Flores and second by Mr. Fuentes. Okay. With that, let's go ahead and go for the vote. All those in favor indicate by stating aye. Aye. Anyone oppose? Anyone abstain? So on a motion by Board Member Flores and second by Board Member Fuentes and carried on a 6-0 vote. The board upheld the expulsion order of one student discipline item as presented. 11.2, on a motion by Board Member Flores and second by Board Member Bertha Flores and second by Board Member Israel Fuentes and carried on a 6-0 vote. The board approved the following. Certificated coaches 2, baseball assistant coach boys, varsity wrestling co-ed, certificated regular staff 14, counselor DLI, science leader, elementary band teacher 2, elementary teacher 2, English teacher, general science teacher, math teacher, psychologist, RSP teacher, SDC teacher, speech therapist 2, classified coaches 4, head junior varsity volleyball girls, head varsity football boys, head varsity volleyball co-ed, soccer assistant boys. Volunteer coaches 5, band co-ed, baseball boys, volleyball girls, football boys, softball girls. Volunteer general were a 3. And item 11.3, in closed session on a motion by Board Member Israel Fuentes and second by Board Member Bertha Flores, and on a 6-0 vote, the board appointed the following: Casey Robertson, Director, Nutrition Services. And with that, it is 9:03. We're hereby adjourned. Hey.